Okay, TikTok, this one's going to be about why you shouldn't get into emotional conversations or try and use logic when someone wants to have an emotional conversation. So, case in point, the other day I was talking with an old friend, and me being a major in politics, I asked her, I was like, so who are you voting for? We got into that discussion where I kind of had a pretty formal, like, counter-intuitive argument over the long term, but it went from good to bad pretty quick. Why? Because this person was getting emotional, right? I was kind of using logic. I'm very independent. Red or blue, right or left. I like to think and criticize both sides fairly to what they're advocating for and against. Anyways, this person started getting really emotional in terms of the things that she was very passionate about. And I applaud her for being informed about that, but I started to poke some holes into some of the things that she said, right? And I made the mistake of trying to use logic when she was getting emotional. I could see that. Right? And this person very quickly got hyper emotional, and then they started saying things to try and knock me off my rocker to the point where I stepped back and said, well, you know, I understand you feel that way. However, that being said, and made my counterpoints. Okay. This person eventually told me off, told me she doesn't want to be friends anymore. And that's totally fine, right? Been friends with this person for a long time. In the future, we'll patch things up and resume our friendship. Maybe, I hope. However, it brings up a larger point because this time of year, especially every 4 years here in this country, we tend to get hyper emotional about stuff that we really shouldn't. And when we do that, what happens is we give our power away, okay? When you get emotional, you start to give your power away because people can see a deeper layer of you because they know they're getting somewhere, they're getting towards your core beliefs. And it's not that yours or her in this scenario, their core beliefs are wrong. But when you start to criticize or kind of poke holes into things that they believe so strongly and hold to that, people will almost do anything to defend that, right? It's like they're being attacked and then they feel the need to fight harder. And when you are dealing with someone who's emotional and you try to use logic and reasoning, that's not the answer, okay? The answer is also not to get super emotional and get into a heated discussion. For whatever reason in this country, we've kind of lost the ability to sit at a table and discuss things without getting emotional on either sense, and that's fine. Hey, you do you, but we kind of need to work back to that. So if you're in a relationship or you're single or you're dating or you have friends or you sit down during the holidays with your family and you see somebody getting emotional or you get emotional yourself, that's time to really just back up and say, hey, I feel like there's some tension here. Let's take a break. Let's discuss something else. Let's come back to this, okay? When you latch onto that and you hold onto that emotional place, you lose your power. You lose your sanity. You lose your ability to use logic and reasoning. And you cannot fight fire with fire in this scenario. And there's no sense in fighting anybody when they get into an emotional state. So my advice to you in those situations, back up. Take some time to cool off. You cannot win. And even if you do win, when someone's having an emotional response, even if you do win with logic and reasoning, you still lose in the long term, okay? So don't even fight that fight. Just take a step back, understand, and see when people get emotional, and choose not to get emotional yourself because that's when you give a massive amount of power away, all right? If you want more tips, one-on-one coaching is available in the bio. Quick reminder, I no longer do intro calls due to the amount of ghosting that I got this summer. That's a personal boundary that I feel the need to set. So happy to chat quick over DM, but if you want to talk, go sign up for my email list where I always send discounts out, or become a member, get access to group calls, and get up to 30% off coaching sessions, or just book a coaching session so we can work on one thing at a time. See you guys in the next one. Peace.